How's it going, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I'm back with another knife video. Been away for a couple of days for good reason, but I'm back now, and I've got a really good video I've got planned for you tonight. Before I do, I want to just take a second, and I want to welcome everybody that's stopping by for the first time to my videos. I've saw a lot of new people in my comment section. I've had some really good conversations, some good questions, some good comments. I've completely enjoyed that process. Now, I've told you guys from the very beginning that this was not just about knives for me. I can play with my knives and sharpen my knives and mess with my knives all the time. This video process and this experience and this journey is so that I have the opportunity to talk and fellowship, if you will, with like-minded people who care just as much about knives and EDC as I do. You all know, I've told you before, I'm the Unprofessional Dad. I raised 4 little boys pretty much for the most part by myself. I just put them to bed, as a matter of fact. Mickey Mouse one is over here on the couch laying down next to me because he didn't want to be in there in the bed. So I've got him over there asleep, so hopefully he's good to go. But I've enjoyed the experience and hanging out and talking to everybody. Those of you who have been with me from the beginning or close to that have been with me for a while, I've loved conversating with you guys. I've made some really good friends, as I tell you all the time, how much I appreciate that, the conversations, again, the fellowship. So I really don't take it for granted. I hope you guys know that. Just the last 2 nights being away and not being able to make these videos has been driving me crazy. I've been wanting to do it so much, just so that we can start more conversations and talk about other things. I want to remind everybody I got a big contest going on. January the 3rd, 2025 is right around the corner. So on that day, I'm going to be giving somebody, the winner, a $200 budget to Blade HQ to go on there and spend however their heart desires. I don't care what they buy. As long as the Blade HQ sells it, they can get it as long as it's under $200. That's my way of saying thank you to the entire community for the time and attention that you've given me and allowed me to talk with you guys about my knives and my love of knives. I appreciate that. Now, I do want to clarify. Somebody asked me, they said, does every comment qualify for an entry into this contest? And I want to have integrity about this, the utmost. And I just don't want to change things as I go along. In the very beginning, I said that if you liked any of my videos, if you subscribe to my channel and leave a comment on one of my videos, then you are entered. And unfortunately, you can only subscribe once. So as long as you leave a comment that has anything to do with knives and you subscribe to my channel and you leave a like on any of my videos, you are entered, but you can only enter once. Now, this is not going to be the only contest I put up. The third, when I announce the one winner, I'm going to be announcing my next contest. And there will be contests where you're going to have as many opportunities as you want. But since I didn't make that rule in the beginning, I don't want to say that now and make it unfair where somebody could just sit and spam comments in the comment sections of my videos and have 5,000 opportunities to win and be unfair about it, because I didn't say that in the very beginning. It just would not be ethical, and I don't want to do that. So you get one opportunity, one entry. Like any of my videos, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment on any of my videos that has anything to do with knives, and you are entered. And on January 3rd, 2025, somebody's going to win a $200 budget, and I can't wait for that day. Now, before I tell you what this video is about, let me say one last thing. The reason I've been away for the last 2 days, and I might be away another day or two here and there in the near future, and I'm going to struggle tonight. I'm going to get tongue-tied a lot and stuff. I have had really good teeth my entire life. I've had really good teeth, and you all don't want to hear all this, but not long ago I had an accident. Not a car accident, but it was a bad accident, and I had some of my teeth knocked out. Well, broke in half and messed up pretty bad. It's pretty gnarly. And I don't know if you've ever had a jagged, broken tooth that is really sharp and how it cuts your tongue, makes it to you where you can't swallow, you can't eat, you can't talk. I've got that going on right now, like really, really bad. Like so bad that my tongue has been swelled up, mouth full of blood, and I haven't been able to really talk very much the last couple of days. I'm struggling really bad right now, to the point to where I've got Orgel right here to take care of that issue. But so you all might have noticed in past videos where I would get tongue-tied a lot. That would be why I would get tongue-tied so much. And it's probably going to happen in this video as well. But just to be honest, it was to the point to where I was starting to get to where I could do it. Could talk a little bit and tough it through. And I was missing making videos. And I just wanted to make a video and start more conversations with you guys. So now you guys know where I've been and where I'm going to be if I do disappear for another night or two. But for the most part, I'm going to try to always have a video at least every other day, if not every single day. All that's out of the way. Let's get to today's video. What's today's video about? Well, I done one about knife steals for beginners not long ago. When I very first started learning knives, there was one thing that I struggled with just as much as the knife steals. People would look at me and they would say, hey, this right here, this has a Scandi grinder, this has a flat grinder, this has a hollow grinder. I had no idea what the heck, and I don't know why I just done a country bumpkin accent right there. I have no idea. I'm already country bumpkin enough. But I had no idea what those grinds were. I would just see a knife and I would just see a knife. I did not understand. And when they would try to explain to me the different grinds, it was one ear and out the other. I did not grasp it. Over time, I have learned those grinds, but more important than learning the grinds is learning the capabilities to those grinds, because every single grind is ground that way for a purpose. They all have pros and cons. And when you learn a grind and the grind of a knife, you will immediately know the capabilities of that knife and its limitations. And they do all have capabilities and limitations. So there's several different grinds and we're going to go through those. Now there's a couple terms that you need to learn, and most of you guys already know this. And if you are somebody that knows all your grinds and all this other stuff, you know, you can just hang out and chit chat with us. And if you see anything that I'm missing or anything that you can add, some people have added some really good stuff in the comments before, you know, adding on to the stuff I've said, and that's been awesome. So you can do that and just hang out with us and watch along and tell me if I'm getting anything wrong. This is for people who don't know, who are new to knives, who don't understand the grinds, who might have struggled with that or don't understand what the different grinds even mean. This is for them. So let's talk about a few terms first. All right, so we've got a blade here. I'm going to explain to you bevel. I'm going to explain to you micro bevel. But before I do, I'm going to explain to you swedge. I'm sorry, I had a piece of cotton or lint in my beard. Sorry about that. That is lint, straight up. So, the joys of making live videos. It is what it is. But there's something called a swedge. Now, this knife has a swedge. A swedge is any time. Okay, first, this is the spine right here. The back of the knife. The top of the knife is always the spine. The spine. Now, a swedge is any time they take that spine and they grind some of it away. Now, this has you might hear it called a false grind or a false edge. A swedge. That's what this is. They grind it away, and they do that for a couple of reasons. They do it for looks, to make it look better. They also do it because if you've got a really thick blade stock like on this knife, then they do it to lighten the weight. As long as it still goes to the tip, to the spine, you still have the integrity of the blade, but you're taking a lot of that weight away. So it lightens the blade greatly. Another thing that this does, by making a swedge, you make it a better piercer. So if I was to lash this to like a stick and make it like a spear, I now have a better piercing spear because of that swedge. It makes it pierce into it easier. This knife, it has a swedge right there. The false grind, or the false edge, I mean. That is a swedge. Anytime that you have, some of them will be up towards the tip or whatever, but that is a swedge. The second thing that you need to know is the bevel. The bevel is your grind. Now, wherever that grind starts, to the tip, to the very bottom, is the bevel. That's this part right here. Now, it might start up here at the spine, or it might start in the middle. Does not matter. Wherever it starts and goes to the bottom, that part right there is called your bevel. Now, it might be a hollow grind bevel or a flat grind bevel, and we'll get into that. Now, there's also a term for it when it doesn't start at the spine, when it starts halfway down and different things. We'll get to that as well. There's also, do you see that silver part right there? That is your main edge. That is your micro bevel or secondary bevel. So you've got your main bevel here, then you've got your secondary bevel or your micro bevel, which is your edge. That's the part you sharpen. So now you know what the swedge is, you know what the bevel is, and you know what the micro bevel or the secondary bevel is. So now we will talk about some grinds. And in the past, I have used my trusty whiteboard, and that's what I'm going to do again, because this whiteboard is a great way to show you the different grinds. Okay, so we've got hollow, we've got flat, we've got saber, we've got chisel, we've got convex in the middle, and over here we've got Scandi. This right here just shows you the bevel, and then down here that next V is your micro bevel, how it comes to a second V. But we already talked about that, so that's neither here nor there. The first thing we're going to talk about is hollow. And do you see how it's almost like an hourglass shape? It goes in like that. It's curved inwards, not curved outwards, but it's curved inwards. That is, and I just wiped it off, that is a hollow grind. Now, a hollow grind actually has a purpose. It's a grind that goes in like this. Now, you need a special wheel to do that, a grinding wheel, or you can do it with a belt grinder, but you got to really know what you're doing, or else you're going to grind right through the blade. So it's a little harder to grind a hollow grind. But here's the thing. I know some people think that flat grinds are the best slicers. But if you look it up and you look by definition and according to any knife publication, they will tell you that your best slicers are your hollow grinds, because they are taking as much of the mass away and making it as thin as possible towards that point, towards that bottom edge. They make better slicers. Some knives or blades that will have a hollow grind, for instance, is this right here, a straight edge or a straight razor. This has a hollow grind. It is literally on both sides, it's curved inwards. Now that is extremely sharp, extremely sharp. There's a reason that they use a hollow grind on a straight razor. This is a hollow grind. Now, it's not ground all the way up to the spine. We're going to get to that term in a minute, what that means, but this is also a hollow grind. The hollow grind is any that goes in like that. Now, here's some pros and cons to a hollow grind, and you're going to see hollow grinds in a lot of your skinners. If you're a hunter and you have a skinning knife, a lot of times those are hollow ground knives because they're really sharp and good slicers. Some EDC knives are good, are hollow grinds. Not very many. Usually they're flat. But straight razors, skinners, hunting knives, stuff like that is hollow grind. The pros and cons. The pros are they're incredibly good slicers. They can be made incredibly razor sharp, hence straight razor. The cons is that where you're grinding all that mass away and you're bringing it really, really narrow, you're taking all the mass away behind the edge, behind the point. So it's very thin. So you can't chop with it. You can't do any blunt hitting with it, anything like that. You will literally cause micro fractures and stress fractures in your blade. You'll chip your edge away if you do that because there's no mass behind the edge. So it's really thin. So anything that's thin and you go hitting on it, it's going to chip and break away. But they're not meant to be hitting on stuff with or chopping with. They're meant to be slicers. That's all a hollow grind is for. They are incredibly good slicers. They're really easy to sharpen. And actually, a lot of people, what they'll do is when you have a hollow grind, not everybody, but some people do, they literally, even if they do have a secondary micro bevel, they will literally grind that away. And they will literally have the entire hollow grind come down to the main point. So there won't even be a secondary bevel. It will literally come down to the point, and that is the edge. So they're really easy to sharpen. They're easy to maintain and take care of as long as you don't go beating on them. But they are not strong and robust knives. They're just not. Now the next one is a flat grind. Now a flat grind is exactly that. We see the flat grind there. It's like a V. You got two straight lines from the spine straight down to your secondary bevel. And we got to pretend that there's a micro bevel down here. But that's what it is, two straight lines straight down. Now most of your kitchen knives, your butcher knives, a lot of hunting knives, EDC knives, a lot of folding knives, pretty much any knife is good with a flat edge. Any knife is good with a flat edge. A flat edge is not any knife, I mean not a chopper or anything, but any EDC kitchen knife. Flat edges are good on most knives. They still have a lot of slicing capabilities, just like a hollow grind does. If it's got really good geometry, especially if the blade stock is really thin, like this Benchmade right here has extremely thin blade stock. And it's a flat grind all the way. It's a full flat grind. Now I'm going to tell you in a second why I call it a full flat grind. I'll tell you in a second. But this is a full flat grind, and it's thin, very, very thin. That is a really good slicer. Now, it's a better and more robust knife than the hollow grind because you don't have that hourglass shape, so you don't have the mass taken away. So in some cases, it is more robust, and you can do more chopping with this than you can with this. But this is still not meant to be a chopper because it's still a flat grind, so it's still not very thick. It's not very robust. There's still not a lot of mass behind the edge. But flat grinds, again, easy to sharpen. Now, it's easier to keep the secondary bevel on a flat grind knife than it is a hollow ground knife. It's easier to sharpen away the bevel, the micro bevel on this than it is on this. And you don't want to sharpen away your micro bevel. Why not? I'll tell you why. Because that micro bevel, as long as you have that right there, that's always the metal that you're sharpening. If you take that away, you're cutting up into your blade and you're going to lose metal. So you're going to, shorten your blade. You're going to mess with the integrity of your blade. You're going to shorten the blade life. This is another flat grind knife. The Gemini. Extremely good, sharp, and thin slicer because it's a flat grind knife. And that's exactly what flat grind means. It's flat. The whole edge is flat. But why am I calling it a full flat grind? Well, that's simple. The next grind I want to tell you about is a saber grind. Remember I told you that this is the spine right here, the top of the blade? That's the spine. Now on a full flat grind, your edge, your bevel, starts at the spine and goes all the way to the tip or to the bottom, to the edge. That's a full flat grind. It's from one end of the knife to the other, the full width of it. But what if that bevel doesn't start at the spine? What if it starts halfway down? See how this starts halfway down? And then it goes to the bottom? That is a saber grind. Anytime it does not start at the spine, it's a saber grind. If it starts a quarter way down, a third of the way down, or half of the way down, it is a saber grind. It is a saber flat grind. This is a saber hollow grind. because the top is not beveled or sharpened, or I mean not sharpened but ground. So this is a saber hollow grind. This is a saber flat grind. You see how it's not beveled right here? It's a saber flat grind. Now this is what you call a saber flat grind with a swedge at the top. So this is a saber flat grind with a swedge. If it was a saber hollow grind with a swedge, it'd be the same exact thing. But that is what a saber grind is. A saber grind is any time the bevel does not start at the spine. It starts lower at the spine and then goes down to the point. So you might have a edge. This is a saber grind. See how that bevel starts right here and goes down? This is a saber grind. That's a saber flat grind with a swedge. That's all a saber grind is. So a hollow grind, hourglass. Flat grind, it's a flat V. Saber grind just means it doesn't go up to the spine. It starts somewhere below the spine and then goes to the point or to the edge. The micro bevel or the secondary bevel is the sharp point, the sharpened edge. Now, the next grind is real simple, a chisel grind. Down here at the bottom, and it looks just like a chisel. You all have seen a chisel before. It's got a completely flat back, and it's a chisel. And it has a sharpened edge. It's just a chisel. This, completely flat on the back, and it's sharpened right there. Right there. That's a chisel. That's a chisel grind. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, backtracking. The reason they make some saber grinds, I forgot to tell you, saber grinds are harder to sharpen, but they have more mass, so they're far more durable. Now, if you've got a flat grind that's a saber flat grind, you immediately have far more mass in the spine of the blade, so you can do more chopping, more robust jobs with it. So having that part of the blade that's not ground away with a bevel just makes it more strong, gives it more integrity in the blade, makes it more durable. You can beat on it more. That's the point of making. I mean, some of it, yes, is for looks, but ultimately it is for utilitarian purposes. It gives it more integrity, structural integrity. It makes it stronger. Now, a chisel is the same exact thing. Some of you can find chisels like some of your really high-end Japanese blades, kitchen knives are chiseled. They literally they're flat, completely flat on one side, and one side is sharpened. So when you sharpen them, you only sharpen one side of the blade. You don't flip it over and sharpen the other side. And I literally just had a video not too long ago about sharpening. I showed you that you have to sharpen one side, then you have to turn it over and sharpen the other. Well, if it's a chisel, you don't do that. You literally just sharpen one side. So they're easier to sharpen. The cuts are not very uniformed, so you don't get uniform cuts with the chisel unless it's an extremely sharp, razor sharp Japanese kitchen knife. Then those things have a little bit more capabilities, but they're really, really thin. Usually chisels are chisels because they're strong. You can use it for woodworking, and you can use it with a hammer and beat on it, and they just have a lot of integrity. They're not used for, usually, taking away those Japanese kitchen knives and stuff. Usually chiseled blades or chiseled grinds are not meant for anything other than mass removal. That's what you're doing. You're removing something and using a chisel to do it. It's used for removal of stuff. I mean, granted, to an extent, all blades and edges and sharp edges are used for removing something. Whether it be cutting through it or something, you're removing something. But chisels, woodworking, you're using it to chip wood away and to remove a lot of wood, and you're using a chisel to do that. I mean, it's very self-explanatory. You all know what a daggone chisel is. They're explanatory. Now, the last grind is the one that is the best for like woodworking, not for like carving and stuff like that, but for like feather sticking, for batoning, for different things like that. And that's your Scandi grind. Now, Scandi grind is on this Mora. If you've seen any type of Mora, a lot of bushcraft knives, those are your Scandi grind knives. A Scandi ground knife is literally the entire blade is flat all the way down until you get to the very bottom, and then you have one V there. That's the edge. Usually they don't have a secondary bevel. Sometimes they do. Like this right here does not have a secondary bevel. It literally comes down. It's flat all the way on both sides, and it's even on both sides. It's not like getting narrow and flat. It's not like a flat grind. It's literally parallel all the way down, and then it goes to a point. So you have a wide blade that's equal in width the whole way down until you get to the bevel, and then it goes to a short point. I hope it makes sense and I'm not overcomplicating this stuff. It's really pretty simple. It's pretty elementary. It's just not a big edge. You see how short and narrow the bevel is, and there's not a micro bevel on this. Same exact size. Now, if you measure the width of the blade at the spine, and you measure the width of the blade right where the bevel starts, it's the same exact width. The only place that you're going to start getting a narrowing is in the Scandi grind. And usually that's right above the edge, the sharp edge. So you don't have a lot of sharp edge on that. Now, Scandi grinds are a little harder to sharpen. You got to know a little bit more what you're doing. Some people say that they're easy if you really know what you're doing with sharpening. They're not that hard, but you do have to have more experience to sharpen a good Scandi ground knife and not take a lot of mass away. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, you can take a lot of mass away and stuff and just grind the heck out of it and probably get an edge pretty easy, but you're going to take a lot of the mass away, a lot of your metal. But to do this the right way, you've got to know what you're doing. These are harder to sharpen. Chisels, easy to sharpen for the most part. Flat edge or flat grind, they're pretty much easy to sharpen. These are not as easy to sharpen. And I've sharpened a lot of Scandi ground knives. These things are definitely harder to sharpen. The grinds are not very complicated. But the big thing is that I have seen this happen many, many times. People will get a knife and then they will break their knife and they will go on and on about how that knife is junk. I've literally seen people break good knives and then go on and on about how that brand or that knife or whatever was junk and they'll never buy one of those again, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, what was you doing with it? Yeah, I was batoning with it. I mean, I was out there trying to carve some wood up, and I'm like, well, what kind of a knife was you using? And, they'll be using something like this right here, not meant for that. And they'll break it or snap their blade in half, and then they'll be talking about how this knife ain't no good. But it's because they don't know what they don't know. They don't understand that when you know, you need to know the knife steels, yes. But the knife steel is really going to have to do with more how well the edge is going to hold up, or whether you've got an edge or a knife that's going to be corrosion resistant or not. What's going to matter to the performance of the knife probably more than that, is the grind. If you are trying to do kitchen work, kitchen prep with a Scandi grind, it's not going to go very well. Can you? Yeah, absolutely. You can, as long as it's got a sharp edge, you can cut tomatoes. But this is not going to be nowhere near as fun and pleasant to cut tomatoes as this would. But if you try to take this and baton wood with it, or feather stick with it, you're going to have a problem. You know, everything has a purpose, and there are purposes to the grinds. And there's blogs that you can look up. There's YouTube videos, not just this one. There's YouTube videos. You can literally look up diagrams that will show you the grinds. They will show you the pros and cons. They will show you how to sharpen each one. They will show you what knives work best in those grinds. But there are just hollow, flat, saber, chisel, convex. I forgot convex and Scandi. Convex because I don't have one here on the table. Convex is the last one. Now convex is where you see convex right there. The blade is almost rounded before it gets to the point. It's thick. It's really, really thick and robust. Imagine this, instead of going inwards and taking it, imagine it doesn't go outwards, but it almost has a rounded shape to it to go down to that point. If you look at axes, a lot of axes have a convex grind to them. They actually are thicker, and that is going to give it more robust chopping abilities. A lot of machetes are, a lot of your bushcraft knives, machetes, axes, and hatchets, a lot of those are convex grinds. You can find knives and stuff. I just don't have any knives with the convex grind on them, so I didn't have one here to show you and give you an example. But go and get a wood splitter. A wood splitter actually is a convex grind. There's a difference between an axe and a wood splitter. The wood splitter is a perfect convex grind because there's a reason that it's a splitter, because it has that round bubble look to it almost at the head before it comes to the point. Because it's so thick, it busts through that wood. It splits it really well. But the convex is the only one. But you're not going to run across a lot of convex knives. You're just not. I mean, you might have one, but you're not going to run across a lot of them. But that's the edges. Hollow, flat, saber, chisel, Scandi, and convex. And remember, the only thing that a saber grind is any grind that doesn't start at the spine. Chisel, you should know automatically. Anybody knows what a chisel grind is because you know what a chisel looks like. Scandi grind, just think of a Mora. Flat grind, think of most of your kitchen knives. They're flat all the way down. And hollow grind, think of a straight razor. You literally can take your fingers along a straight razor and you can feel how it goes inwards. And that is a hollow grind. Oh, remember a swedge. Remember your micro bevel at the very bottom, and your main bevel is the full blade. The full grind of the blade is the bevel, and the bottom edge that you sharpen is your micro bevel. So it's pretty simple. It's not very complicated. I'm going to do a video soon on blade shapes, Wharncliffes, drop points, spear points, modified sheep's foot, reverse tanto or tanto, different things like that. So I'm going to do a video, a tutorial on that as well. And in that video with the tutorial, I'll go ahead and go over like bolsters and different things like that as well, just to encompass it all together, the full anatomy of a knife. But, I knew that this wasn't going to be very long. It wasn't going to be very complex or in depth because I just wanted to put a video out there to where I could talk to you guys and have something to go over, and something real simple. I struggled all the way through it. You have no idea how bad I'm hurting right now. no idea how bad I am hurting right now. It is killing me to be talking, but I'm trying. It is what it is. But I wanted to have something to present to you guys and bring to you guys and to keep our conversations going. And somebody that does not know anything about grinds, this might help them. They might now know a little bit better understanding of what a grind is. And more important, what they can and can't do with that grind. So it's pretty simple. Guys, remember, if you're new, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on any of my videos. And you're entered into the contest for January 3rd, 2025. I do have a video coming up very soon. I'm still working on it. The stuff hasn't come in yet. I'm waiting on it to come in. I'm going to be giving a few knives away in a video that I've got coming up. That doesn't count for my January 3rd, 2025 video. I've got a few knives that I'm going to be giving away because of this video coming up, and I can't wait for that. I thought they was going to be in by now, but they're not here yet. I guess it's because the holidays and stuff, shipping is behind. But when they get here, I'm going to put up a video, and I'm going to be giving some knives away. I don't know, 3, maybe 4 knives away, and I look forward to that. So thank you guys. I apologize for being gone for a couple days. I'm glad that I got to just sit here and talk with you guys about knives on some level, and I'm sure most of y'all already know all this stuff. And thank you for listening to me mumble and ramble on. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you all very much. As always, I love talking with you guys. It's a pleasure. I will be back soon. Thank you all for everything. Until the next time, keep your lives full and your blades sharp. And I'll see you next time. Your knives sharp. I'll talk to you next time, guys. I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. I'm out. Man, I'm getting so tongue-tied. I can't even talk. I can't think because of my mouth. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.